Hello and welcome to my channel. This is Vinny Vid Productions. In this channel, you will see BNSF 6951. The videos I produce on that channel would be layout updates, layout run sessions, layout op sessions, contests, giveaways, and rail fanning. Then we have Vinny Built Structures. Now, Vinny Built Structures, we do, or I do, I should say, kit builds, kit bashing, scratch building, and I also do a clinic on how to scratch build. It's called Scratch Build with the Cuz, right? And then that brings us to the last point of, on Friday nights, I do a thing called Hanging with the Cuz. That's right, I do a live stream on Friday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. If you guys want to meet a bunch of great model railroaders, join me on Friday night. Excuse me. If you guys are interested in this kind of stuff, especially in model railroading, hit the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up, hit that bell, and don't forget to share this video. Anyway, with all that being said, let's get on to the video. This Vinny Vid production brought to you by Yankee Dabbler. For all your model railroad needs, check out Yankee Dabbler. Don't forget, 7% discount with BNSF 6951. And by Highways and Byways, awesome street graphics for your roads and streets on your model railroad layout. If you guys are looking for sophisticated model railroad electronics, Logic Rail Technologies has what you need. For a 5% discount on certain items, use code BNSF6951. Alright guys, now it's time for the next step on your layout. Trees! I have been dealing with Bob for 7 years now, and he does excellent work on his trees. So if you need some trees on your layout, check out Long Shadow's Trees. Tell him the Cuz sent you. Alright guys, so unfortunately the clip I did before this did not get recorded for some reason or another. I think the SD card was full. Anyhow, I put a new SD card in there and hopefully it is working now. Anyhow, what I did was I measured all of this out, all the arches and all that stuff, and I went ahead and cut it out on a piece of 20,000 styrene, and then I went ahead and laminated this on it. As you can see, it's right there. So my next step is going to be to cut these arches out and then laminate a piece on the back side here, because you're going to see both sides of this. Anyhow, with all that being said, stay tuned and we will be back here in a few minutes. Alright guys, here we go. This is what the first side is going to look like, and I don't think that came out too shabby for a hand cut archway. Because I didn't show you how I got that on here, I'll show you how we're going to do it on this side. I already have a piece cut out, and I will be using my Model Masters glue. Still plenty in there. And like I said earlier, or maybe you didn't hear it, I'm going to try and be doing a review on different types of adhesives. So stay tuned for that. Alright, so anyhow, we're just going to smear this on here. Oops, get off of that dirt. And just make sure we get really good up among the edges. And I'll go ahead and fill in the middle parts here in a minute. Just going to go around the edges right now. And come around the circle. And here we go. Alright, now we'll just go a little zigzaggy. You're like a kid with a crayon. And just make sure you got enough glue that it will cover mostly all the area, because the glue will spread once you put pressure on it. So now what I'm going to try and do is I'm actually going to, first of all, make sure the brick is in the right orientation and make sure I'm using the good side out. And we're going to take this guy and we're going to kind of tilt him up like that. Bam. Alright, now this glue gives you a couple of minutes of working time. Not very much, but it does. Once you're happy with you got all your ends lined up and all of that stuff, I'm just going to go ahead and take my weights and put my weights on top of that and let it weight down. And we'll come back in a little bit and cut the arches out and see how this is going to look. Now also, I want to give it a little bit of 3D dimension. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this number 148 evergreen to represent the pilasters. So in other words, I would just take this and put it on top of here. Maybe I'll go to the next size after this, which would be a 250. But I just want you guys to know that there is going to be something that's going to represent the pilasters on here when we get done. And that's going to involve me putting the brick on this small surface right here. Anyhow, with all of that being said, we'll be back when this is dried up, and we'll kind of sand it down and see what it looks like. Stay tuned, and we'll be back in a little bit. Alright guys, for the next part of this build, now that we have both of my arches done, well, this one here is still being glued down, then I'm going to cut it out, but this one here is pretty much complete. So what I'm going to do next is I am going to add, I call them pilasters, you can call them columns or whatever, but anyhow what I did was I laminated some of the brick on here also, but I had the problem of having a white situation right here, and as you can see on this, I also have a white situation here. So I found that this burnt sienna is a very close color to what I need, and if you can see here is the brick, and then I painted the edges with that raw sienna, and it matches pretty close. And once it's on the building, you're not really going to notice that. So at least the white is covered. So I'm gonna have to do the same thing on the inside of these guys here. But I'm gonna have to mask those off. But anyhow, I'm using two different styrene strips. I'm using this number 129 and I'm using this number 149. The difference is the thickness. They're both the same width, but one is 40,000 thick and one is 20,000 thick. The 40,000s I'm putting on the front to give that the definition of being a column. The second one, the skinnier one, I'm going to be putting on the inside to give just a little bit more definition of what the inside of the columns would look like. And then once I get that done, I'll figure out how I'm going to clean up the inside edges. So, with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and I am going to paint the edges on these guys. I already gave them one coat. I'm going to give them a second coat. And like I said, I'm using this burnt sienna, and it seems to match pretty good. And I never dip my brush into the bottle. I always use the cap. The cap's got plenty of paint in there for what you need to do. So I want to just see, out of curiosity, how this back one's going to look when it's on there. And this is like really tedious to paint. I don't want to paint it when it's on the building, because that would require more masking and such like that. And you know, the proverbial words is time is money, right? So we're just going to do it this way. And I just need to have just a little bit, just to cover the white, because the colors, they're close enough where I can get away with it. And like I said, this one's already got one coat on it. And we'll go ahead and do the second coat. I was looking at Walmart on their website looking for the raw sienna, because that might be a better match. But I could not find a raw sienna other than in a huge bottle, which I don't want a huge bottle. So, anyhow, alright. Two, and this one here also has its first coat. We'll give it a second coat. And what's getting on the front and back of this, like right here and right here, I will sand down so I have good gluing surface. You know I'm a stickler about that. I don't like gluing on top of paint. So there we go. Alright, So now I got enough to start the project. And again, these here, they could get a second coat, but I'm going to have to mask them off to give them a second coat because my hand is not steady enough to do it without. I'll give it a shot. Why not? What the heck? Got nothing to lose, eh? Yeah. Yeah, I just want to cover up all the white spots. I'm using one hand to steady the other hand. Oops, that wasn't good. A little bit right there. All right. And we got a big spot down here on the bottom. Like I said, this is just a filler color. It's not going to be an exact match, but I just want to get rid of the white. All right. Yeah, what about this one? Can use a little bit more on this guy too. I'm just barely touching the tip of the brush in the paint, guys. I'm not even loading this brush up. Just very, very slight on the tip of the brush, just so I can get enough on the edge of this where I don't smear it over on the front, which I did there. Oops. Alright, what about this side? Down here. There we go. Alright. So I'll bring you back when those are all dry, and then we'll go ahead and laminate the rest of those, and we'll start putting this together and see what it looks like. So stay tuned, and we'll be back shortly. Alright guys, we are ready to start putting some more of this stuff together. As you can see, I've got these guys all painted up on the edges so they'll kind of match. And I said kind of match, and they do. If you look at this one here, and I'll show you guys when I get this on here, but I did cut these a little bit wider than the actual piece I'm going to put it on, and the reason for that is because once I get it on there, it'll be easier for me to excuse me, easier for me to trim down once it's glued on there. So just going to use my Model Masters glue, and we're going to just smear a whole bunch of glue on here. Just like that, and we'll line up one edge, one long edge and one other edge, and then we'll also push down on it this way. And now I should have a small little lip in there, which I do, which I'll be able to trim down here in a few minutes. Let that dry up, and then we'll do the same thing. Now this is the thinner one that's going to go on the back side, so we'll do the same thing again with this. Just smear a bunch of glue, and then take this guy and do him like that, same thing. Push him down like that, and now we'll just let that set up a little bit, and then we'll see how that's going to look. So anyhow, my intention is to have 4 of these on the front, just like you see it here. And of course this one still needs to get trimmed down, but these will look like full-size columns when I get done, and it'll look like this piece in the middle here would be like it was built in between the columns, and that's what I'm going for. So let that one dry up, let that one dry up, and then we'll go ahead and put it on here. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to go ahead and glue this on here, and then I'll trim it afterwards. But I'm going to put these ones on the other side. As you can see, when I cut this out, I messed up. If you look at the bottom, and I cut the brick a little bit too short. So that's going to go on the inside of the building, so you won't see it. And anyhow, the pilasters or columns will cover it anyhow. So, with that being said, make sure, let me trim this guy down. Just a little bit more before we put it on the building. Alright, and then this guy here. And you guys probably not seeing what I'm doing. I'm just trying to trim down the brick a little bit closer before I actually put it on the building. It'll be just a little bit less work for me to do. And I am using a sharp blade. In fact, I just ordered 50 more from Amazon. You can find those on my Amazon page also if you guys are interested, if you're going to buy some blades. Alright, that's good there. And then right here. Alright, so this one, I'm not worried about the top, only because the roof is going to cover that, so I'm not too worried about it. But I do want to get as much of this off as I possibly can. I don't want to sand the sides because that'll take the paint off. Alright. As long as it looks straight to me, I'm okay. This guy here. I might have to use a little bit of sandpaper on this guy. I could always touch it up if I have to. Alright, there you go. That looks nice and straight. So basically I'm going to just put this on here like that, and after it's dry I will go ahead and snip off that top section. And let's see, how am I going to keep this straight? I guess we can use this, maybe? Or just use the grid lines. Yeah, that's what I'll do. I'll use the grid lines. That will keep it straight. Yeah, just like that. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and, this is all experimental to me, guys. I've never done something like this before. So you'll have to excuse any mistakes that you guys might be seeing that I'm making. I don't think I'm making any mistakes. I'm doing this the way I think I could build it. So, see, I'm just afraid. I might have to paint this when it's on there because I still see some of it that needs to get sanded down right here. So I may have to put this on here and then mask it and then paint it again. Alright, let's see, that we're good right there. Everything's square on the bottom here. Everything's square on the line there. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and put this on and see what it looks like. Like I said, I'm experimenting right now. If it works, fine. If it doesn't, we'll go back to the drawing board. The proverbial drawing board. Alright. And I'll put you down there. I need to get more of these 1, 2, 3 blocks. I'm just going to let that sit there for a few minutes and let it dry up, and then we'll go ahead and put the rest, the next one on. So stay tuned and we'll be back in a few minutes. Alright guys, it's almost done with these archways that I'm doing here for this build. The next thing we're going to do is, after I have the pilasters on here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill in this part down here with some brickwork to make the columns really look heavy and massive and so on and so forth. And then I'll show you how I'm going to finish out the archway in here. Because I can't do the brickwork that I have to improvise and do something there. So anyhow, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and make sure that this is perfectly flat here on all of these. I'm not worried about the outside edges here because those are going to be overlapping when I put the side walls on. Anyhow, as you can see, I have one piece already cut out here, and it is much wider than it needs to be. And then I will trim it down after it's secured after it is secured to the project. I'll line up one side for sure and then cut down the other side. Also, I want you guys to know that I have been using this Fowler expert glue. It seems to work pretty good, and it gives you a little bit more working time than the Model Masters. Like I said, I'm going to be doing a review on some of these glues that I've been using, and we'll see how it goes from there. Anyhow, with all that being said, I already sanded down this one. I'm going to sand it down just a bit more, and I am using just an emery board with 2 different grits on it. This is not the one I want, but it'll work. Oh, the one I want's right in front of my face. Anyhow, I'm just going to go ahead and sand this down a little bit, just to make sure that I don't have any bumps in there. And what I'm going to do is this piece that I'm going to put on is going to be just at the bottom of the archway. So with that being said, let's go ahead and do that. Like I said, I've been using this Fowler, and seems to be okay. I kind of like it. It glues. It's got a different smell than the Model Masters. The only thing I don't like about it so far that I've seen is, hold on, let me put this piece on here. Get him down to the bottom. Sorry if I'm quiet while I'm doing this, guys. It's kind of got to make sure I get it right where I want it. All right, I'm gonna let that rest up a minute. The only thing about this Fowler glue is they don't give you a pin. It's got the metal applicator, which I like, but they don't give you a pin to clean out the nozzle if you have to. And I don't know if it'll work the same way as I told you guys with a cigarette lighter. This is new glue to me, so I don't want to try it. And in fact, it's even got on the backside here, it's even got a flame on it. So I'm not going to try that. Anyhow, if I do need a pin, the one from the Model Masters does work. And I just guide it in with my finger and put it in there like that. And then just rub it up and down a little bit, and we should be good to go. Anyhow, we're waiting for that to dry. I'm going to go ahead and cut the rest of them out. I need 6 of those total, and I'll trim them all up, and I'll bring you back and show you how I'm going to trim out the archway. So stay tuned, and we'll be back here very short. All right, guys, the last thing we're going to do to this is we're going to add some trim inside here, only because I cannot do the type of brickwork they had there. They have brick on edge over here. I can't do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this piece of styrene trim that I had already painted it in a concrete color. It's longer than what I need, of course. Like I always tell you guys, I always cut it long, and then I can always make it shorter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little piece of, a little bit of Gorilla Glue right here in the corner, and then put this guy on there to start, and then I'll use my regular glue. So, and this part is very tricky. Try not to get the glue all over the place. But I'm just going to put a little dab down in here in the corner, just like that. And then I'm just going to take my styrene strip, get it down into the corner. Right, and just hold it there for a second. Come on. It's important to get it as tight up to the plastic as you can so it looks like one piece. And then I'll show you the completed part when I get done with this. Anyhow, when that's drying up, it seems like it's working very well. Come on, be nice. Oh, I don't want to stick, right? Maybe we need to use a little bit more persuasion here. Try to be neat here because this is, you could get the glue all over the place if you're not neat. Try to be neat with this. Get in there. Why is it not sticky? Of course, it's gonna make a fool of me. Alrighty then. There we go. We got the stick. I'm gonna leave it there for another second or two. Then we will go to our regular Model Masters. Alright. So you got that so far. And now we're just going to go ahead and run glue in there. And I'm leaving it long, like I said. Because now what I'll do is I'll run it around in the entire radius. And I'll see where we're at. Take my knife and I'll just give it a little bit of a slice. It's being difficult with me, of course. I've done 3 of these already, and this one's going to be difficult. There you go. All right. And now we'll just go ahead and put the glue in the rest of the circle here, and we'll stick it in there. And then when that's done, we'll do the other 2. Anyhow, go ahead and do this. I use the Gorilla Glue because that dries pretty quick, and I didn't want to hold it too long. Okay, and now we'll just take this guy and run him up in here. All the way around. Come on, get in there. This is probably the most difficult part is to get this to stay in there. All right, there we go. Anyhow, that's what you get. So stay tuned. I'm going to do the rest of them, and I'll bring you back, and we'll show all of these archways all completed, and we'll continue on from there. So stay tuned, and we'll be back shortly. All right, guys, and now we are down to the final moments of this video. As you can see, I got both of these archways done, and I have made these columns seem a little bit more heftier by adding the stone, the brick on the insides of here. Also adding the trim in here where I couldn't do any of the brickwork that I see in the pictures. Anyhow, both of these are done. I'm not concerned about the side here because that will be, from the side wall, will be covering that like that. Anyhow, this will be the next project we do. But for now, that's all for this video, and I hope you guys and gals enjoyed it. And as always, your questions, comments, input, subs, shares, and likes are always welcome. For now, that's all, folks. BNSF 6951 out.